Don't bullshit me.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
Bullshit. You said us out. It's all bullshit.
Okay, folks, glad you are here. This episode promises to be a real barn burner that will knock your socks off. So stay tuned and enjoy this week's episode of the Boba Joe Show.
Hey guys, we're back again. We did not get Jim Harper during the week, which was very good news.
He did not. Our flesh is still on the bone.
Thankfully, yeah, we didn't get turned into chicken Jim Harper soup or nothing.
No there, little cougar, alien / night
What's going
cougar.
on, mate? What's going on? I'm just doing my little dance off, doing a little freestyle.
He's an agreeable fellow.
He's a good little fella.
He's a runner. He's got those like spring wire legs like that dude from Gallipoli.
He does. He's off and running.
Sprinter. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you still have a little bit of gas left in your tank because we're still talking about aliens and predator related material.
Been a marathon, start of the sprint. Been a marathon, but we're in the final legs. We can play that slow motion music like Monster Piece Theatre, like right to the end.
Yeah, we're on to the comics specifically this week, and We've looked at Alien, we've looked at Aliens, we've looked at Predator, we've looked at Predator 2. Those are the movies we've covered. But we've also previously looked at the toys, the video games, and other associated media. So this week we're focusing specifically on the comics, and specifically the comics produced and published by Dark Horse Comics.
Yeah, Dark Horse, who were known for making original content based on licensed properties, basically in the 90s, as well as doing their own original comics, but they were mostly known for doing licensed comics.
They were a big part of my childhood comic reading. Were Dark Horse. They were quite prominent among my comic books back in the day. Of course, there was also that kind of added allure that they had the movie licenses of Aliens and Predator and Terminator, so that was always exciting to me as a kid.
They tended to be also kind of mature age in a good way, where you had like solid writing, good art. It will often, if you had an R-rated film or an Alien or a Predator or RoboCop, Dark Horse is the company that's going to make good adaptations of those and new media. So not so much like a DC Comics where it's like, here's Batman and Batman Returns, the comic of the movie. It's like, no, this is new fiction set in those movie worlds. They did also do like the first English language Astro Boy and adaptations of other manga and such. but they were sort of known for doing licensed American movie properties, kind of R-rated type stuff that all ages could really read as a comic. Even, you know, you get gore in there, but the comics I would still call all ages. You know, I read stuff when I was 12, 13, and I'm still here to tell the tale. I haven't turned into a serial killer that you know of, and as well as they did the manga stuff. But yeah, just a fantastic company. And like Marvel, DC were, of course, the big companies were known for decades. Dark Horse was like this new, younger, upstart sort of company, along with Image Comics in the 90s that were making a name for themselves.
Of course, they had the Star Wars license, which was a
Yeah.
big deal as well back in the day. So
What's
yeah,
the
in this
one? Dark
period of time,
Forces or Dark Shadows? I always get it. Dark Empire. I can never remember it because I'm not a Star Wars guy.
well, all the things you've just named are Star Wars
Dark
things.
something.
Yeah. Like Dark Empire is the Dark Horse comic.
Luke eats a dark chocolate, something like that. I can't remember them.
Dark Forces is the video game, the shoot 'em up.
It was a good time. Like, I'm not a Star Wars dude, but I'm aware of the different media. But the 90s was a reasonable time for like new video games. You had N64, you had PC, and you know you had like Doom clone type video games. Years later, we got Knights of the Old Republic from BioWare, of course, but you had considerably more media before Episode 1 came along. We had like decent comics from Dark Horse for Star Wars, and we had some good video games and novels, of course, like 80s, 90s. We had novels before there was that big long gap before the new retroactive movies came along, and George Lucas was obsessed with just the newest CGI more than storytelling.
Well, I'll do a cheap plug here, and I will plug our good friend Jesse, the Epic Badgers channel.
Nice.
Because Jesse and myself, must be a few months ago now, maybe last year, we did a chat actually on that very topic of 1990s Star Wars and that kind of prequel era of media. So if
Was that on his channel? Where was that? Because I'm not sure if I probably watched it. I can't remember if I watched it or not.
it's on the Epic Badger channel, Jesse's channel.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'll go back and rewatch that.
Can check it out there to get the full scoop. But yeah,
it always does.
we're not Star Wars.
Interesting stuff. Epic Badger, and I don't know, it's fun in our like circle of toy friends like Wilhelm. You know, people have got you got things you've got in common with, and then things that are divergent. And I love seeing like what else are people into, and I get to learn more about something I don't know a whole lot about. You know, I like to get to learn more about Star Wars or more about G.I. Joe or whatever. You know, watching other people's videos and such.
Big in these logos here, like that Colonial Marines one.
Yeah, that one I just pinched from online somewhere someone made because I tried to make a new one this week. Not a new one, but tried to make my own circle one, and I couldn't get one to do what I wanted to do on the screen in the circle. So I went, okay, one must exist, and we'll put that in there. So there it is. But it feels like there'll be a nice patch if you've got a jacket and you get these as like little patches, you know, on your sleeve, or be nice.
Yeah, we'll have to speak to the network about getting these officially licensed out as NFTs for all our viewers and listeners.
4D HD NFT. If you put your 3D goggles on, don't bother because this isn't 3D, so you're wasting your time. It's just a black and white image that I put a filter on to make it purple looking. But yeah, just a quick recap of what's been going on in recent weeks. Well, the last month and a half, really, Boba Joe. Last week, we covered Aliens vs. Predator from Capcom, arcade game. We covered Aliens vs. Predator on PC, and the very early 90s Aliens Konami game, which is all excellent games. That was the first ever arcade Aliens game of anything. Before we got, later in that same decade, we also got Alien 3, The Gun, or something along that title, where it had like mounted guns and you'd just shoot a whole bunch of aliens. But basically 90s Aliens video games anyway, as well as Alien 3 on Sega Genesis. In previous weeks, we covered the original Alien movie. We covered the sequel Aliens. We covered the first Predator, Predator 2, We covered KAALLL's toy line, which encompasses mostly aliens, but towards the end, the second toy line was kind of launched off it and became the same ongoing toy line before it got cancelled, that included Predators. So that was a big bumper show because we covered, you know, a lot of toys in that show as well as the vehicles. And episode 50 of Boba Joe, we did a kind of recap of like RoboCop, Terminator, Aliens, Predator, like what licensed media in the 90s. We got comics, we got video games, we got novels, we got bloody sequels and other nonsense.
We got it all. Anything you want, we got. So yeah, folks, if anybody's just tuning in for the first time and you're a little bit bamboozled in the Alien and Predator verse, might not go back a couple of shows and have a week
playlist. Click the channel, go to the playlist. It's all in there, Boba Joe. It's all, and that was the idea of kind of doing themed shows. Makes it real easy. You can click in the playlist and see any of those shows are like week to week in order before we get on to other stuff in upcoming weeks.
That's right. We're making it easier for you to enjoy our content. You know, that's the type of customer-friendly service we provide here at the network.
Yeah, I tried to be an indie wrestler for a time, and they just called me the content machine. That's what they call me, content machine Levine.
Content machine Levine, love it. Is this the type of dark horse we were talking about?
Oh, hopefully so, because we're getting into the library here now. We're going to kick off into some of these comics. And the Predator and Aliens comics, you know, like very late 80s, mostly known for 90s Dark Horse, but very late 80s when they technically first existed. And I remember used to going into the old comic shop in Christchurch and seeing some of the stuff on the shelf. And I wasn't actually reading that back then. I was kind of reading like Spider-Man or X-Men or Batman. It was really post year 2000 I was getting into these trades in the public library of stuff that had been published in the 90s, like your Dark Horse omnibuses and earlier trades. A lot of cool stuff that I got to enjoy when I moved over to Australia. I was going to the Perth Public Library around 2001, 2002. They had loads of comics. That in the Christchurch libraries, they had some comics, some good ones. But when I went to the Perth Library, I was like, man, they got Buffy Omnibus, they got Predator, they got Alien, they got Transmetropolitan, whatever they had, I would pick up, and you could loan not 5 or 10 items, you could loan up to 30 items at one time. Wow. So I would go into the library and I would literally get a massive stack of comics, as much as I could carry out, like on my arms, because I didn't have like convenient shopping bags and what's it in. So I'd get as many as I could, or a backpack or whatever, and I'd go home, and over a week or week and a half, I'd just read them all, take them back, get some more, read whatever I could. So I got a nice little text thing here, which confession time, I fucking hate walls of text, but there's 2 of them. We'll get through them. And then it's on to beautiful comic images and no more horrible text. You wouldn't want to be caught reading stuff in a show talking about comic books. So in the 90s, Dark Horse Comics established itself as a major player in the comic book industry. And when you say, we're talking about US American comic book industry as distinct from, say, Japan or Europe, entirely different places, different comics, different aesthetics. Known for its diverse and innovative lineup, the company published a mix of creator-owned titles, licensed properties, and original series. Basically, the Image formula, which, you know, Dark Horse and Image still do the same thing today. Dark Horse's standout contributions included the launch of influential series like Hellboy. I've just picked up some recent soft covers of like the first major big 4 volumes, about 800 pages of Hellboy. I've got my shelf down there, by Mike Mignola, which became a cornerstone of the original content. They made 2 pretty cool films and a later 3rd one that was different actor and unrelated, but all 3 of those films are actually worth watching. They also published Sin City by Frank Miller, overrated, known for its gritty noir aesthetic, and The Mask, which gains widespread recognition. Also became a film with Jim Carrey. Comics very different. The movie is more like a Tex Avery live-action cartoon. The comic is really dark and demented, like a lot of Dark Horse stuff. In addition to the original titles, Dark Horse gained prominence through high-profile licensed comics. most notably the Aliens and Predator series, before Fox and other companies fucked Aliens and Predator up the arse repeatedly, which expanded the lore of these iconic franchises. They also published Star Wars comics, revitalizing interest in the saga during a period when new movies were not being released. Probably three of their biggest ones, really: Aliens, Predator, and I'm not a Star Wars guy, but Star Wars, I remember seeing it on the shelf in the 90s. It was a big, big thing for Dark Horse. Dark Horse's blend of innovative creator-owned works and successful licensed properties. That's the key word, successful. This is before you had content farms and post-internet media and games and other shit. And when studios started going, how can we crap out as many sequels as possible? This was like people that actually cared about this media and they actually wanted to make something new that was good quality and not just, it had nothing to do with CEOs and boardrooms and market decisions. It was like people trying to actually make good quality comics and media. So successful licensed properties solidified its reputation for quality and creativity, which is absolutely well earned. I mean, I would put Dark Horse as probably number one in the 90s of comics for actual good quality. If you went Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse in the 90s, who wrote consistently the best stuff? It's Dark Horse all the way. Not that I didn't read all those other guys. Dark Horse had the best original content, good quality writing, and not just derivative bullshit like most other companies are putting out, which I read and love, but it's derivative bullshit, making it a significant force in the comics book world throughout the 1990s. So I'll hand over to you for.
Okay, so in the 1990s, Dark Horse Comics became well known for its licensed properties, especially, as Johnny mentioned, its successful series featuring the Alien and Predator franchises. So Dark Horse began publishing Aliens comics in 1988, expanding the universe with new stories and characters. These comics explored various aspects of the alien mythology, including human encounters with the xenomorphs in different settings and time periods. The Predator comics, starting in 1989, similarly expanded on the lore of titular hunters, delving into their society, rituals, and interactions with humans. So, notable crossovers like Aliens versus Predator combined the two franchises, creating a shared universe that captivated fans and established Dark Horse as a leader in science fiction and horror comics. These series were characterized by their intense action, atmospheric storytelling, strong art, and they were contributing significantly to the popularity of the Alien and Predator franchises in pop culture during the 1990s. And that really can't be understated. Like this is a period of time where we have not yet seen the release of those AVP movies. We're not
Yeah,
really deep into
it wouldn't
the
exist without these
prequels
comics in the
or
90s to steal from.
oh yeah, and like there's like so much stuff hadn't happened. There was no Prometheus or Alien Covenant or
Yeah, Ridley
there
Scott
was
hadn't
no
gotten all bloody contemplative and went, well, what was going on in the alien universe? I'm like, I'm sorry, Ridley Scott. You should have made your films as fucking Dark Horse comics. They would have been better as far as the
yeah, it's
post Aliens movies.
without going off on too much of a tangent, but it's one of those things where when we are left without the movie media to kind of fulfill our kind of wants and desires for storylines and things like that, the comics and the novels really kind of jump in to fill that void. And later on, when the studios finally take their thumbs out of their arses and start putting out the movies just don't live up to the material that you've been
No, they
reading for the
don't.
last few years in the comics and the books, and it
Do
just
you know,
pisses you off.
when I watched Prometheus, I watched in the cinema. Like, I enjoyed it as a film. It was okay. It was okay. It was kind of middle of the road. It was kind of average. But half the film is just a kind of remake of the original Alien, as in beat by beat and what happens in it. And then the other half of it was some new, different stuff. And then they made, what was it, Alien Covenant or whatever. And both of those, I went, this would have been fine as a one-off or four-issue Dark Horse miniseries. It didn't need to be a film, and it just goes fucking nowhere.
Yeah. And look, someday, folks, someday, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not I can find enjoyment in both Prometheus and Alien Covenant for different reasons. But
It's still just
someday,
stuff in the same universe, but you know, it's just
yeah,
like all the money and the actors and the people and the special effects. I'm like, fucking rewrite that son of a bitch. It's like, get a decent story before you do all the other stuff.
we will tackle this someday, folks. We're gonna
Yeah.
be deep diving on Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Not anytime soon though, because you know we got a lot of other stuff to get to first, and we're still in the honeymoon phase of looking at stuff we like a
Yeah.
lot more than we
When you see
dislike.
Boba Joe, Aliens Big Load of Wank episode, that'll be like everything that come after the year 2000.
Yeah, more or less, more or less. But this is a nice little collection of covers we got here. I actually have the issue number 6 of Aliens, which we can see in that group of 6 Aliens
Yeah,
covers.
got
I
the
actually have
Queen.
that
Is it a Queen
hanging
or a
on the
drone?
wall. I
Drone.
think it's a drone. I think it's a drone. Or actually, maybe it is a Queen. He's got a big fat head. I should really know because I'm actually looking at the cover hanging on my wall at the moment. But
They had really nice coloring here too. This was right on the verge before we headed into full digital coloring in the 90s. And like these books were like just the beautiful books and the coloring, man. They really stand out. Not just the covers, but the interiors. The coloring is absolutely amazing.
another thing I love as well is that the brand, it's not Alien, it's Aliens. It's Aliens.
Yes,
It's
true.
like it's the main brand of the series at this
it became
moment
the
in time.
default thing.
Yeah, and I love that. I
Like
absolutely love that.
if you walked into like the VHS rental store in the 90s or even post 2000, it's like Quentin Tarantino presents, I don't know, some bullshit some guy made somewhere that Tarantino watched 5 minutes of. It's like James Cameron's Aliens. Like that became the brand.
Yeah, and I love it because you've got these comics, of course, the Canner toys. That's Aliens as well. You've got the Aliens versus Predator series with the video games and everything else as well. So it's great that Aliens, the brand, is the front and center.
Yeah, it's nice, and it kind of matches up nice with the logos as far as how many characters take up the. I love that story with James Cameron comes up on some of those special DVD features about aliens, and I don't know if it's true or bullshit, but it's a good story. Where when they were like coming up with the concept, going from the first original Ridley Scott Alien to Aliens, whereas like writes a S and puts a line through it like $ aliens. I don't know how true it is, but it's on the special features, so you know it exists.
I hope it's true. I really do.
I hope it's true, but it's a good story either way.
Oh yeah, now I can see that cover a bit better. It's a drone, but the shadow makes it look like it's got a fat queen head.
Yeah, it does. It is, and the tail's coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, great run of covers here for the original Aliens Dark Horse comics. Beautiful
This was
artwork.
1988. Great artwork, great coloring. We've got the old Dark Horse logo before they kind of changed it up a bit. And later on, this would be known as Aliens Book 1 in various reprints. And then later, Aliens Omnibus would, got collected in there again.
Yes, and we should probably mention that, I suppose, the reason for the various reprints and reissues.
Is this the Hickson Newt kerfuffle?
Yes, yeah. So, folks, this material was published before the release of Alien 3, so before the in-canon death of Corporal Dwayne Hicks and Little Newt. So these Alien stories published by Dark Horse, they actually have the characters of Hicks and Newt alive and well, and still going on adventures and battling.
They use the character names of Hicks and Newt that in later comics after Alien 3, when they reprinted some of these books, they actually changed the names of the characters and redacted who they were. They have the same art, same likeness, but they changed the character names. And when the first time I read those, I was like, "What the hell's going on here? Am I having the like Nelson Mandela effect? Has my memory gone defective?" Because I wasn't able to look up stuff with the internet to find out about things like this back then. I was reading a reprint, and I was like, "What the hell? I know I read this and it was Hicks and Newton. Now they've changed the character names. Why?"
Yeah, and I have the omnibus collection to the side. I won't bother bringing it up, but yeah, essentially the Hicks's name is changed to Wilkes, and Newt's name is changed to Billy, and that's how they're printed
Wilkes.
going
Oh, so
forward. It's Wilkes and Billy.
Wilkes was also the name of the guy that was the editor of the longest running independent Australian video game magazine that ran for like about 21 years in Australia.
Well, he's also the new alias of Corporal Dwayne Hicks, so yeah, it could be a little bit confusing as a kid reading random issues and not understanding why the character, because you knew it was supposed to be Hicks and Newt, but you just didn't understand
Yeah.
why. And the strange thing is they go to the trouble of changing their names, but scattered kind of throughout the story, there is references to other characters from Aliens, say like Burke, Vazgaz, Drake. They don't change their names. So you've got
No,
this kind of
legally
weird
mandated ones.
yeah, it's a weird kind of mind fuck you kind of have then, where it's like these two
And
people
I,
who
I,
aren't
I
Hicks
don't
and
know if
Newt
my
are just like
memory's
living their lives.
foggy as far as Alien 3, but I get the impression that when they used the still image or whatever of Hicks in Alien 3, that they didn't get his permission at first. And there was like a thing in the background as far as royalties and permission and all that. And so that was another thing as
Yeah.
far as when I watched the special features, like that comes up. So it was a real gray area as far as like new media for Alien and Aliens in that era outside of these comics. It was kind of like, well, what's the studio doing? They're just they're just mangling this property that Dark Horse is doing these amazing comics, and then the studio is just doing whatever the hell they want to do and not really thinking about what's the best interest of the story and the characters and the royalties and rights for people who've appeared in these films.
And it's another thing. We will tackle that another day, the whole Alien 3 saga and what could have been and what it turned out to be. But
Oh,
we'll
the Wooden Planet.
get
The
to that.
Wooden Planet.
Wooden
Sing me a
Planet.
song about it.
So in this original run though of Dark Horse Aliens comics, they pick up years after the events of the movie Aliens, and we have a situation where we don't know where Ripley is, but Newt has ended up in an insane asylum, and Corporal Hicks has actually made his way back into military service. And you know, the whole story is
You keep
kind
going.
of
I'll be back in a minute.
yeah, no problem. The whole story is kind of built around this on Earth in the future. Lots of people they're having these dreams and visions of the aliens, and there's an entire religious cult being established and being built around worshipping the aliens. So it's a very strange time on Earth. Meanwhile, we have evil corporations competing against the government to try and obtain samples of aliens that they can use for essentially making bioweapons or any type of other product that they can profit from and continue their evil corporate ways through. So it's a very interesting and dystopian setting that we get here in these initial Aliens comics. And as I mentioned, Hicks, he's back in military service. His face is slightly deformed from the blast of acid he took towards the end of the Aliens movie. He's generally not well liked among the other Marines. They're kind of afraid of him. There's a lot of rumors going around about him, about what had happened to him and his, doomed mission to LV-426. And the other Marines speculate that he's a freak now and he's been, infected by alien spores, and they generally want nothing to do with him. And Hicks himself, he's become a bit of a nuisance to the military as well. He's always drunk. He's constantly getting into fights. He's constantly being thrown in jail, essentially. When we first come across him in the original, and in this story, he's actually in a jail cell as a result of his latest fight that he's gotten into on a base. So Hicks is definitely falling on hard times, and Newt is also falling on hard times because, as I mentioned, she is confined to an insane asylum where she's drugged up and going through all sorts of psychotherapy and different methods to try and fix her in air quotes, because the authorities seem to be refusing to believe that, what happened to her actually happened to her, and they've just kind of labeled her as a crazy person. So Newt's going through a horrible time, locked away here. And yeah, both of these characters, they've just their their luck has really taken a turn for the worse since they've escaped the events of LV-426, and they're both in this desperate situation. But what ends up happening is there's a mission launched to essentially the alien home world, or what's known as the hive world. With the guise of, it's the kind of typical kind of corporate espionage type of deal where it's like, oh, we're going there to kill them. We're definitely not going to try and, smuggle back any and make them into bioweapons or anything like that. But um in a roundabout type of way, Hicks ends up being recruited onto this mission to go to the alien homeworld. And before he leaves on that mission, he goes to visit Newt in the asylum, sees what a horrible time she's been going through, and basically hatches a plan to spring her and to free her. And he does end up doing that. He busts her out of the asylum and smuggles her on board the ship that's on its way to the alien homeworld. And that pretty much sets up the whole adventure and a series of events, which, leads to the Hicks, Newt, and these other Marines landing on the home world, and all sorts of shenanigans ensuing, and company spies trying to kill them, and covert double agents, and all sorts of good stuff that you can expect from an alien story. But yeah, they really hit the ground running with this alien series right out of the gates. Would you agree with that?
Well, hard times when the aliens are like killed all your buddies and you survived. You got no money, you got nowhere to go, and you're locked in an asylum. That's hard times. Um, I like that you get the evils of the alien, which is sometimes it's evil, sometimes it's like a natural force or nature. And there's kind of the evils of psychiatry here. When it reminds me of like Terminator 2 and Sarah Connor, when she's locked up and they're not helping her; they're just abusing this, abusing her. It's disgusting. And there's a nice little subtle commentary on that. And I like that we get to see Hicks and you later on, um, post-traumatic stress. They're having nightmares about the alien, like in Aliens at the very beginning when Ripley's has that imaginary sequence where the chest burster comes out of it. We get another sequence like that. But it makes sense that you're getting this post-traumatic stress, especially Newt, who was a child who survived, and basically everybody's dead in her bloody colony and parents and everything. So there's no way she's going to grow up to be like a well-adjusted person in her 20s. So yeah, this is good mature age storytelling, good artwork, and I love getting to see Newt and Hicks again, and fuck Fox and fuck Alien 3.
Big time, big time. And without spoiling too much of the story, because definitely I would say if you are a fan of Aliens, the Aliens movie, and you were not a fan of the movie sequels that followed, this would be a story worthwhile reading. I think you would be satisfied if you've never read it before. And just like the way James Cameron kind of went bigger for the concept when it came to making a sequel to Alien, these comic sequels to the movies kind of go bigger and badder as well when it comes to expanding on the actual life cycle and nature of the aliens as a species, like we see when they reach the alien homeworld. The alien homeworld actually contains a queen mother, which is like a super alien queen, essentially, that has, you know, bred hives over the entire planet and has like a psychic link to other aliens, you know, that can go across the galaxy, essentially.
Yeah,
And
that was a cool thing they established from the comics, and then that comes into play, I think, in Aliens Genocide as well.
that's right. That's right. And it's just it's really cool to see the aliens in what's supposed to be their home environment, at least in this part of the galaxy. And it's you know, they've ravaged this planet through infestation, but also they're not the only super predator that lives on the planet. Like, there are other creatures that even prey upon xenomorphs that live on the planet as well. So it's really interesting to kind of get a look at the type of ecosystem of the alien homeworld and just how life has evolved there. It's just
Yeah,
it's a
those,
broadening that lore.
those ideas to me are more interesting for potential films of the future rather than when they did go with actual films, which was, you know, a whole bunch of dead ends after the second film, non-starters. And I can say the same of like Terminator and Alien, that you know, we got these studio sequels that's like, well, you had a decade worth of comics from Dark Horse to pilfer from, as far as it's a licensed media, but the license holder or Fox or whoever basically owns it. And like DC, if they want to steal from the comics, they can with very little permission, license, royalties, whatever. It's virtually nothing compared to paying some idiot to write a new screenplay and some idiot to come along 12 months later and rewrite it, and then a director to come along and we'll boot him off and get another director and we'll do some pre-production and then we'll rewrite it a 10th time. The amount of money wasted on that when you've got a decade of quality comics to pilfer from, that you can, like, morally and ethically and legally actually basically steal from with minimal effort or resistance. It's like, why not? It just kind of shows how absolutely ridiculous Hollywood is when it comes to making films. It's, you know, it's gone so far in the direction of market research and corporations like Wayland Utadi and boardrooms, rather than, no, I'm sorry, a good film. I mean, okay, there's films that are purely visual, stylistic pieces, and that's fine, like comics, but you need a good writing, and you've got chock full of good writing right through a decade worth of Alien comics for Dark Horse. Actually, if you want to count up, they've done 20 or 30 bloody decades, but the original chunk, the original period, the other stuff, you know, was based on and kind of ad hoc, stole from a little bit, but not in a good enough way to make decent media post 2000s. Like, you know, Hellboy was a good adaptation of a Dark Horse thing, and that made sense. And like, they should have been Alien movies and Predator movies that were close to these Dark Horse comics as far as the amount of effort they put into characterization, the story, the writing. And it's just crazy to me that they haven't made better films based off all these comics. It's so effortless. It's like, just take some of these fucking comics and make them into films.
Really, it is that. It is that. Such a simple concept. And, you know, whatever about sequels drawing inspiration from these comics, there's also the fact that these comics, like, the reason we're even getting this story about Hicks and Noose is because James Cameron himself had draft ideas to continue on their story
Yeah.
after the events of Aliens, which the Dark Horse crew actually took inspiration from. So you've kind of got the cycle kind of feeding into itself. And
Yeah,
yet,
if he hadn't got
a few
distracted with
years,
Spider-Man and Avatar and deep sea diving shit, I wonder what he might have made as an actual late 90s or 2000 era Alien film. What might that have been? That's an interesting concept. That's another Dark Horse comic. What if Dark Horse Alien James Cameron third film? It's like Spider-Man, you know, 4 with Sam Raimi. You know, it's like, what if that had happened? Or Burton Batman Part 3. But speaking of Predators, We also had, hang on, I'm going to bring it up here. Get out of me little window, because I had to split this in half again because of the stupid file size. Secrets behind the screen. Speaking of Predators, we had the first original Predator Dark Horse miniseries, which was just called Predator, but later on got called, what was it called here?
Concrete Jungle.
There you go, Concrete Jungle. And it's very much in the style of Predator 2, as far as we're in the city rather than the jungle. But rather than Danny Glover, we've got, now correct me, what is it, Dutch's cousin or brother, or who is he? He's like a twin basically for Dutch.
He's supposed to be Dutch's brother. So
yeah, but he's like a twin for Arnold.
Yeah. So when, like, I'm sure, like a lot of us, when you're reading this comic, anytime you're reading that character's dialogue, you're hearing Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice. Yeah, I'm a cop, you idiot.
Bullshit.
But yeah, Predator. Once again, you mentioned it's very Predator 2 style. Well, we should probably say that Predator 2 is very Predator Concrete Jungle style, because I was actually shocked at
for sure.
Like Predator 2 took an awful lot. It feels like from this comic, and actually, I will actually go ahead and say that if we are to criticize, Fox for what they did we're not drawing inspiration from comics, I must praise the Predator people, for actually looking at source material and pulling some good stuff out of it, because
check out that
Predator 2
first issue, top left, where the Predator's like doing that kind of Jesus-like pose, like arching backwards like this. That was like the main media and poster and image shit that got used for posters and video games. Anything to do with Predator 2 had Predator standing like Batman on the corner of a building, or with a golem or whatever, doing that arching backwards thing and holding up a skull. That was like one of the main iconic images for anything to do with Predator 2, straight out of the Dark Horse comic.
Yeah, and I have the NECA version of that comic book cover Predator. It's a great figure. But yeah, they really, like, Predator 2 took a lot of its storyline beats from this initial run of Predator comics.
Yeah.
And so just to kind of run it by you, so the comic, it's set in New York City in the middle of a heat wave. There's gang wars going on between, different coke dealers. And right in the middle of this, we've got Schaffer, who is a cop who's supposed to be Dutch Schaffer's brother. Dutch Schaffer, the main character from the first Predator movie. And, he's trying to bust these criminals. And in the middle of all this, he's caught up in a hunt, because the Predators are in town with a few days to kill, and they're hunting violent people in the middle of the heat wave and collecting trophies, as they are known to do. So we pretty much get like I said, a very Predator 2 like story of, a cop in the city doing battle with these extraterrestrial hunters.
Dutch is the Danny Glover brother from another mother. Like is Arnold's twin, but Arnold didn't come back for Predator 2. But if he had been, this is basically it. It's like, this is like the movie as a comic.
Yes, exactly. And it really does work very well as a sequel to the first movie, because in the background, apart from the whole, Predators hunting humans shtick, we also have the subplot of the government agency looking to kind of keep control of the situation and possibly capture some Predator technology. And a nice touch in this story is that the kind of government honcho that's kind of running the show is actually the General Phillips, who we saw at the start of the Predator movie, the man who actually gives Arnold the mission where he goes into the South American jungle. So there's a nice little bit of linkage there between the first movie and this particular comic.
Yeah, I like how they tied into the first film, and The first time you read it, it's a little strange because it's like this Dutch twin brother sort of dude. It's a little weird, but when you read it again, you're like, well, they made the best of what they could do with this media and property at the time, and going back to it, it really stands out. It's a kick-ass comic.
It's really good. It's really good. And when I say Predator 2 took a lot from it, like even that moment, there's a scene in Predator 2 where the Predator kills a load of people on a subway because they were all armed. Even though they're all commuters, a lot of them, they were all armed. And that exact scene pretty much takes place in the
Yeah.
Concrete Jungle story as well, like panel for panel. So the guys, I think it's Stephen Hopkins who directed Predator 2, and I'm sure you can probably pull up the details at some point or other. But the point I'm making is that the Predator 2 crew definitely drew a lot of inspiration from this
Yeah,
Predator story,
I feel like
and
this
it is
was
a great story.
a different era in Hollywood too, where people wouldn't be ashamed to actually look up source material of comics and stuff. I mean, this is pre Wikipedia and it's pre YouTube and it's pre like fan videos and other things where sadly big corporate companies will do very lazy research looking at odd little videos and comics and whatnot, but not get into the depth of it. Whereas here we've got people looking at these actual good quality comics and using them as reference material. And while they're not officially acknowledged in the way, say, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, I think was it the third film, or actually was it Batman vs Superman? Sorry, where it had like a Bill Finger credit along with Bob Kane. They're finally getting to actually crediting some of these people. One of the earliest credits as far as comics was like Blade, Marvel Comics, Marv Wolfman. That was like a credit on the screen. I saw with my mum in the 90s. We actually went and saw Blade together, and she loved it. I loved it. And she likes a bit of horror and a bit of vampires in it, and that was awesome to see. But a rare thing, most of the time, studios just like don't give a shit. Take a property, churn out whatever they can, and give as little credit as they can. That's slowly changed and come around. So now we see credits for people who wrote these stories, or any of Marvel or DC films, pulling from decades worth of comics, like Kirby and Stan Lee and and all the other guys. There's 100 bloody guys that worked on so many things, and who should really be paid royalties for any movie when they're pinching from it. But slowly they're putting a little credit here and there. And if there's a credit, maybe they got some money, or maybe the family estate got some money. But but yeah, Predator, Dark Horse 89 / Concrete Jungle, awesome comic. I love seeing this like Dutch style dude fighting a Predator again in the city, like hot nights in the city. I'll tell you what else actually pinched from this comic book was another comic book. Batman versus Predator actually pinched a bunch of stuff from this comic as well. And it's probably my favorite. It's one of my favorite all-time comics is Batman vs Predator, because it's the first Batman trade paperback I ever bought back in the 90s at a comic shop. And it was like 15, 16 New Zealand dollars. And it took me like more than 3 weeks to save up for it. I didn't have it the most at that time. It was like 13 or whatever. The most I had in a week was maybe $5 pocket money, and that was like mowing the lawns, drying the dishes money. I didn't get it for nothing. And I probably spent it on, trading cards or candy at the bloody local shop. The comic shop was like nearly an hour's travel for me on foot or bicycle. And buying a regular comic back then was nearly $4 or $5 New Zealand dollars. Getting expensive already. The Predator trade was about $16, 3/4 weeks pocket money. And me and my mate had been in, flipped through it. We'd pulled it out of the Mylar bag and had a look at it, which was okay with the shop owners. They didn't mind if you looked at stuff because they knew we were these little pest kids that kept coming back month after month, week after week, and actually bought stuff. We had to flip through it, and we were like, man, this is like awesome. This is a beautiful comic, and there's big action in it and cool stuff. Predator Batman was the first trade paperback I bought. Definitely pinched a bunch of stuff from this first Predator Dark Horse. Like just see Dutch fighting the Predator kind of hand on hand. There's a scene where he gets like picks up a piece of wood or like 2x4, like Hacksaw Jim Duggan style, and just starts smacking the Predator with it. There's a scene right in the last act of Batman Predator where he gets a baseball bat and he's gone out with his exo suit and this armored Iron Man type suit to fight the Predator after he got basically nearly killed in the first act. And then in the later act, he's still fighting him and kind of loses again. And then he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to get a baseball bat and smack him in the head after I get his helmet off. And it's straight out of this Dark Horse comic. And I don't know, it works so well. And it's really primal. It's real caveman shit. Just like pick up a stone, smack someone in the head, and it works. And I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And it's one of those things where you could probably slot this nicely in between the first and second Predator movies, and the story would still flow well. Like it doesn't.
I think so.
There's no continuity or lore breaking, shit in it that would make you kind of, that would make something not make sense later on. The story is
Really, Scott.
self-contained. Because you can get away with Dutch having a brother, because you never see Dutch himself, so you don't have to go retconning anything like that where he actually showed up in the city or something like that. It's even though he's very similar to Dutch, he still technically is not Dutch. He's a different character, so you have a little bit of leeway there.
Yeah, it works really well, and in a way I think is respectful and it's fun. And whether you haven't seen a movie or you just read this comic or whatever, it's enjoyable on its own, but it also kind of slots into the other media of the era in a way that doesn't like fuck up any of it. So another fun one we got was Predator Big Game in 1992. Enjoyable story, not like the best, but like great, nice art, great covers. Dark Horse did amazing Predator and Dark Horse cover art all through this series, as well as good actual stories. Their covers were just phenomenal and just like would really grab your attention from across the store on the rack, or whether you go to a dedicated comic shop or whatever. And then their trade paperback editions would often collect some of these amazing covers in the back. And they were known in the trade editions for doing really fantastic painted covers and painted pinups and all sorts of extra stuff, just extra, I don't know, I guess you'd call it fan service, but it was just extra DVD features, fan service. We got this fantastic stuff in the trades as well as these original miniseries.
Yeah, love the artwork is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Like I remember seeing the first AVP kind of cover where it was like the alien on the ground and the Predator like coming over him with this big slashing claw, would always be sitting up on the trades in the comic shop. And in the comic shop, you would walk in the door, on the very left side was a whole, basically a wall or rack as big as one of my shelves behind me, just all Batman trades, like Batman Nightfall and Batman this and Batman that and whatever, Batman in the 60s. And then that was the whole rack. But the very top row was all aliens, Predator above the Batman stuff. And it kind of just made it feel like this is like the cool shit when you've got some money. If you've got some money to spend, you want to get some Batman trades and some Predator and Alien. It's like, fuck all your Spider-Mans and X-Mans. They're over there. That's for kids, like Batman and Predator. That's like that's the big boy stuff.
Like somebody's after getting Jim Hoppered here on one of the panels.
Oh yeah, don't get Jim Hoppered, kids. That's the PSA of the week.
He actually got worse than Jim Hoppered because his whole head is gone. It's just the body.
Oh, it's unfortunate when your head's gone.
Yes, he'd lose his head if it wasn't screwed on.
I'm hoping bloody Marvel now that's doing new licensed Alien and Predator comics, which I read a bunch of in the last month, and they're reasonable. They're as good as the kind of middle of the road Dark Horse ones. Nothing special, but certainly enjoyable to read. They've done new editions of the very first Aliens comics, which is Dark Horse Comics reprinted by Marvel. Not the first time that's happened. As if you walk into a comic shop years later and find all sorts of weird stuff like Powers and other books that have been reprinted by one company and another. I'm really hoping that Marvel reprints some of the very first Predator Dark Horse comics, because so far I've not seen it, but I'm crossing my fingers and hoping out, because they're doing a second volume this year sometime between now and the end of Aliens, like the later volumes under the Dark Horse reprints under the Marvel whatever. Like I've ordered the second book already on Amazon, so I'm really hoping they do the Predator ones, and because the old trades are out of print, they're quite expensive. If you happen to live in America, which a lot of people do, I mean, you can probably pick them up pretty easy. eBay, wherever. Amazon prices are shit. But if you go to an actual comic shop or an actual trade show, you can probably get either the single editions or previous Dark Horse omnibuses or previous later Dark Horse trades for a reasonable price. If you live in Australia, they're like $200 fucking dollars on eBay, and I'm like, get out of here.
Crazy money, absolutely crazy money. And you know,
Yeah,
as I think I
the stuff that's
mentioned,
been reprinted a half dozen times at this point.
I think when we did our kind of look at the general Aliens, Predator, Terminator, media, etc. the other week, I mentioned I was lucky enough at the time. I happened to be working. I had disposable cash, so I was able to actually pick up those
Yes,
omnibuses as they were being released. Like I was getting them as they were coming out, and
that's
they
the
were
best way to do
affordable.
it.
I think they were like 15 or 20 bucks each. Like they were really, really
Yeah,
reasonably priced. And now,
just
yeah,
cheap
crazy
and
money.
good. That's the thing. I can, like, I don't own a hell of a lot of comics. I mean, over my lifetime, I've read a fuck ton on comics, both physical editions and digital stuff. But the amount of stuff I have is not much. Like it's only, it would fill not even one shelf, because I've gotten rid of so much stuff over the years. Every time I've moved, I've purged stuff because it's just too bulky and heavy. It's not worth shipping, and then I just buy. I bought singles in the comic shop for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And then there was a day where I was like, fuck this. I'm buying trades. I'm never buying a single edition of anything ever again. I don't care what it is. I mean, maybe if you want to get something to put on the wall, that's okay. That's different. That's a kind of display piece. Like I have a couple of Transformers UK ones like that. I've got one that's got Hot Rod and Death's Head on there, which I've got just to put on the wall. And it was on the wall, but it fell off. I've got to put it back up there again and put it on the proper frame and not blue tack. Pro tip, don't use blue tack. It'll just fall off if you live in Perth, one of the hottest bloody places in the world. But yeah, if you've got a display piece, that's different. And Transformers UK, big, nice, wide magazine format, beautiful covers. I only ever buy trades, and I don't buy a whole hell of a lot. I mostly buy the odd Batman one. I've got big hard covers of Marvel stuff and Ninja Turtles and whatever, and Transformers, and that's about it. I don't buy too many comics. I read a lot of comics, whatever, but then I'm done with it. It's like watching, I don't know, the new season of Bosch or 24 or Lost. You're like, in the moment, you're like, this is great, this is fun, but like next week, I don't give a fuck. What's the next thing? I'm bored now. What else you got? But I buy comics of just like all-time classics: Hellboy, Astro Boy, Tintin, Asterix, iconic, timeless stuff that I've loved pretty much all my life, that I don't get bored of. And I would put some of these Alien Dark Horse stuff up there. Like I would say they're iconic and timeless as far as being good quality stuff I want to reread. Back then, I want to read it now. I want to reread it again 5-10 years from now. It really stands up.
Really does. From what you've read of the Marvel stuff so far, do they keep up
Yeah.
the same level of like violence and gore? Like in the panels we have in front of
Oh,
us
it
here.
definitely has a violence and gore. I don't know. It's early days as far as the storytelling. I would say so far the quality is fairly decent. It's as good as like the middle of the road Dark Horse stuff. The art is consistently good in the Alien and Predator Marvel stuff. And I only found out by accident in preparation for the show several weeks back that Marvel actually had the fucking license. I was looking it up going, what's going on? Why is what happened to Dark Horse? And there's all this anniversary stuff about 30 years of Dark Horse, and it's like, oh, okay, Marvel's got the license now because of and then I went backwards the trail. Disney acquired rights to some of the Fox Studios stuff, not everything, but a fair amount of Fox Studios stuff, which I knew about as far as like X-Men and Marvel and all that shit. Quite a whole bunch of rights. I had no idea that Disney had acquired Fox Marvel Predator rights, and so that's why now Marvel Comics is publishing over the last 2-3 years Predator and Alien comics, which so far have been fairly decent and enjoyable to read. As far as I would say, the writers working on it, I don't know them by name, but the people working on it seem to be fans of the franchises. They're doing like these, equivalent to Dark Horse stuff in the 90s. I won't say the best stuff because it's derivative in the sense that we've had 30 years of these comics now, but it's certainly readable and enjoyable. And like, if you like your Turtles, you like your He-Man, you like your Alien Predator, I'm like, here's someone who gives a shit and they're writing a new story. It's enjoyable in that way.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. At least they're moving in the right direction. So hopefully they
Yeah.
don't completely shit the bed with it.
Well, when we see Mickey versus Predator versus Archie, we'll know.
Yeah. We'll know. Jim Harper.
Yeah, Jim Harper. This movie's actually doing quite well now on the streaming networks. The Weekend at Jim Harper's. It's all ages comedy for all the family. So I mean, everyone can watch this. Sure, it's got skinless guys and blood, but it's got comedy as well. So yeah, can't complain.
Yeah, look, we're all skinless on the inside.
That's true. We are. It's a bit creepy to think about. So let's move on and not think about that too much. So we had Predator Cold War, which did follow up from the Concrete Jungle / Predator original miniseries. And now we've got like sort of Soviet area Russia. We've got snow, winds, and like kind of that neo-noir style as far as being kind of dark on the covers at nighttime and then snow. But tell us some about this and what do you like about this series?
Well, what I liked about this one was really initially was the actual setting, because in all Predator lore, we're always told they love the heat, they love going to hot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like apparently like cats, they're apparently like a bit above what humans will be comfortable with, like a more humid, hot climate.
So, but here we have them. They're in the middle of Siberia, right in the middle of like just deep snow country, really really cold weather. And the reason is in this story the predators, they're actually not really on a hunt as such. They're hello there, CM Punk.
It's got a snow cone. Got a snow cone.
He's got a snow cone finally. But yeah, the predators, they're not on a hunt. Their ship has actually crash landed, so they're stranded here trying to repair and escape. And
there's
there's exactly. And the situation though is that the US government is aware that the predator ship has crash landed, but they're worried that the Russian government is going to get their hands on the technology.
It's like the US space race.
Exactly. So Dutch's brother, Schaffer, who's previously appeared in our first Predator story.
No relation to Michael Schaffer, apparently.
He is recruited by the US government to go in with a special task force to Siberia and try and stop the Russians from intercepting the Predators and basically getting their hands on the Predator technology. So it's a good story. It obviously plays up a lot on the tensions between the Soviets and the Americans, and it gets to the point where both the Soviet forces and the American forces have to work together to defeat the Predators. So there might be a bit of Rocky IV messaging there.
Yeah, I was thinking of Rocky as soon as you said that.
But
we gotta work together, way.
One of my favorite moments though in this is, as we've established, the Predators, they do not like cold weather and they love the heat. So there is a great moment in this story where one of the Russian soldiers is like walking through a corridor and goes into like a maintenance area where there's like a massive like boiler room, and just sees like two predators leaning against the piping hot boiler because they're just so cold, they're just dying for a little bit of a heat, I always thought that was a nice touch. But yeah, Cold War, the reason I think like it is because once again we get another shot at the Schaffer character and get to see a little bit more of his story play out. It was nice to actually see them bring him back and do a proper sequel to Concrete Jungle. Like, it
Yeah,
wasn't
it
just
was
kind of
cool.
left alone. And like I said as well, the whole Siberian setting is just, it's very different from what you'd usually find in a Predator story.
Yeah, for sure. And
Nice
it's
shirt.
cool we get to see old Schaefer back again in his Hawaiian shirt, which is he's not Chuckles to the Revenge. It's actually Schaefer and Predator Cold War. So don't get confused about that.
Yeah, he's been watching his brother in The Running Man and decided to sport a similar Hawaiian themed shirt.
Big prizes, big prizes.
Yeah, it's a fun story, Cold War, and yeah, a good sequel to The Concrete Jungle. And they also did a good novelization of it as well a couple of years later, which is a good read. There it is, Nathan Archer.
There it is. How convenient. As if we
I have
prepared
that
this
exact
earlier.
edition. I have this exact edition, believe it or not. Really nice cover
Really
there.
nice. Have you read it? Or you have it, but if you've read it, that's the
Oh, I've
question.
read it. I've read it as well. Yeah,
I'm not a novel reader. I can read a novel. I read non-fiction shit all the time, like 500,000 pages. Famously, not. I've read about 3 novels in my entire lifetime, and I'm 44 this year. I don't know why, but I probably because comics ruined me. I love films and I love comics. I like visuals, and I'm not a big novel reader because I'm like, get to the action, get to the plot, the story. I don't want to read 3 pages of description of the helmet of the Predator. So tell me what's good about this novel.
Well, what I liked about pretty much all the Aliens and Predator novels was I had read the comics first. So
Yeah,
the novels to me were more like an expanded, detailed kind of extension of the stories I'd already read. So I was
like a
actually reading them.
Wikipedia or fan
Yeah,
wiki.
yeah. I was actually that kind of boring detail that it takes you a slog to get through. That's what I was actually
James
craving.
T.
Like I,
Kirk thought the Gorn
yeah.
on the planet was wearing a green shirt on Tuesday.
But that's what I was looking for. I was looking for all of that stuff. I just wanted to know more because, like I said, in the absence of a movie, the more I could get out of the story, the
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
So it was a bit of an extra treat
I
for
get
me in
like
that
that with
respect.
comics where I'm just like, give me more fucking Transformers. It's like Soundwave on Sunday, he's doing stuff with the people and walking his ravage or whatever. just give me more of the things.
Yeah, I could imagine a Transformers novel would be tedious to read. Could you imagine how a transformation would be described in a novel, and then the
Like that.
hands retracted, and then the arms folded up.
The arms folded up, and then there was commensables upon the procreation of the thing in Cybertron and doing the thing with the Unicron in the year of our Lord Transformers. If Chris Claremont wrote it, there's what it'd be like.
Yeah, I'm gonna release Transformers the movie, the novelization.
Transformers, the
No
novelization of
pictures.
the movie, of the comic, of the toy, of the thing that came from Takara.
So look, the moral of the story is Johnny doesn't like novels.
I still I don't actually dislike them. I just like it doesn't hold my attention. Like the few times I've read novels have been like there's not many. I've read one in primary school when I want to say I was like 10 years old, and I read something. It was something about a monkey or a thing or whatever it was. It was weird. I can't remember it, but it was by some New Zealand author. And it was kind of like funny in that. And I read one years later. There was a movie. They based a movie off one called Pay It Forward, and I want to say it was Haley Joel Osment, the Sense kid. I think it was him, but I'm not 100% sure it was him. I'm pretty sure. I got that from a library where I'd been over to Leaderville, which is in West Australia. And I'd been over on the trains from where I was living back in the other city then, pick up some comics, and they had pay it for. I don't know why. I picked up this random novel, and I read it in probably 24 hours because it was quite good. It was breezy, it was well written and enjoyable. And I read it real fast. And I read something else years later, whatever. But most of the time, I can't stand novels. I think part of it's like I'm a very visual thinker as far as like I'll lie awake at night and I'll think about how I'm planning out shows and stuff for the week. And it's not just words. I'll literally think in images of like what I'm going to do. And I think part of it's because I've read so many comic books in my life and watched so many films. I'm just programmed to think that way. So when it comes to just purely written stuff, you know, like I like words and I like writing written articles, but I'd rather think like, well, what's happening? It's fucking Hello Kitty versus Scooby Doo on Mars or something, you know.
You kind of see it. You don't want to. You don't want to have
Yeah,
to.
I'll think
Imagine it.
about it, and then if I wanted to write a description, I could write Hello Kitty had a particularly crimson-hued bill and a yellow nose and a silver metallic finish as she fought the predator on Planet X, and all the descriptive bullshit they put in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a massive parcel just filled with paperback novels for you to read.
Paperback novels. Because do you want to be a paperback writer?
You'll just end up
Took me
using
years
them
to
as
write.
fuel. You can just burn them in your fire or recycle them. You know?
Yeah, took me years to write. Will you take a look? Paperback writer.
Oh, nice little short story here. Alien Stalker.
Stalker. Nothing to do with that PC game set in Russia, like Fallout style. Now this is Vikings versus fucking Alien. Alien, singular.
That's right. That's right. And it's one of those things. It's a totally nothing to do with anything, once off kind of what if type of story. And yeah, it's just a really, really interesting short story about a group of Vikings who come across a single xenomorph on an island that proceeds to kill them off one by one. And
It's my island.
yeah, could be. But yeah, I think first of all, the cover for this one always stuck out to me. It's a beautiful cover, and just the art in general for this whole story
Oh,
is
the
just
art's
really, really
spectacular, man.
nice. And yeah, just lots of brutal scenes of the Vikings being taken out by the xenomorph, and of course learning the hard way that your broadsword or whatever you're using to cut it is just going to melt when the acid blood hits it and
Oh, that fucking
flashes
acid.
upon you. And it's
Aliens,
one of
small
those
boats, long swords. Not a good mix.
they have to kind of use almost it's like a, if I remember correctly, there's kind of like this tattooed character. He's like a spiritual holy man that kind of takes control of the situation and eventually manages to kill the xenomorph. And the final battle with the xenomorph takes place on one of the Viking longboats as well, which is a pretty tense scene, because as they're killing the xenomorph and hacking it to death, obviously it's got acid for blood, and they're on a wooden boat, and acid and wood
Yep.
doesn't go together too well. So in killing the alien, they also managed to sink their boat at the end of the story as well. But what it all turns out to be is, as we can see in this last final panel, is that the tattooed kind of Viking is actually supposedly the descendant of this modern day colonial marine, who's actually the person who it's revealed is telling the story at the end, which is a nice little touch that this story is really just a tale he's telling to amuse his comrades just before they drop into an actual battle on an alien hive world.
I do like in context for the story when I'm like, and I haven't read the story way through. I've just kind of glimpsed it this week based on your recommendations for cool alien stories. So I've done a little like cheap version where I flicked through and had a quick look at the images, and I went, "Oh, it's Vikings," and I went, "Well, if they encountered this son of a bitch, they'd surely be calling it some kind of demon or weird thing." Sure enough, they refer to it as a demon in the story, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's makes sense," because I'm like, I don't know, a lot of fiction and stuff, whether it's comics, films, media, whatever. I kind of come from it from point of view of like what was the values and beliefs, not just of what I feel, but of the people that lived at the time. And back in this era, this was like what you'd call a mythic magic belief system, like Thor and the gods and all this and Valhalla. And not that we don't have that beliefs now. I mean, certainly there's all kinds of religions and whatnot now, but people literally believed in, you know, like angels and demons and stuff. So if you saw something like an alien, you would believe it was a literal demon. There wasn't really another option. We couldn't go, well, actually, it's a scientific alien organism from another planet. Like, no, sorry, comic guy, you don't exist. You're not around for another few hundred years. This is a fucking demon, and it's been conjured up from hell or Ragnarok or whatever. So your only choice is like fight or fucking die.
Yeah, and that's what they do, and most of them do die, unfortunately for them in the story. You know, apart from the main character who goes on to tell the tale to the
It's
generations that
like a
come
better
after.
version of Alien 3.
Almost, almost, and it's just look, it's just a
Like one
nice
alien,
little
and you're all fucked because you're in
yeah,
trouble if you run into it.
yeah, because you've got no firearms, so good luck
Yeah.
with that.
You
Yeah, and
don't
really
have one
nice
of those
little
Hicks
short story.
missile launchers to launch like post blank in its face.
Yeah, your little tactical nuke rocket launcher there to take care
Yeah,
of those
tactical nuke.
bugs and
It's like,
possibly a
I,
robo arm.
I mean, all respect to the colonial marines, but if I run into an alien, I'd this really speaks to me. I'd want to get in there with me pickaxe or axe or hachette or whatever, get in there and hack at this bastard and try it. If you knew it had acid for blood in advance, you could try and, I don't know, try and not get splattered by it. But it's pretty hard not to get splattered by alien acid blood.
Yeah, you want to make sure you have your goggles on, your safety goggles.
Like if you
Don't want to
had
get any of that in your eyes.
if you had a good axe or like a samurai sword, you could get in it. Like if the thing's lunging at you, if you could decapitate the bastard and kind of like combat roll away to avoid that acid, that would be the ideal scenario. But that's like some movie magic. In real life, the acid's going to melt you. You're at least going to lose an eye and half your face and
Yes,
maybe a bit of a limb and survive.
and then as you draw your axe up to take a second shot, you realize that the acid has melted the blade off, and you've just got
Yeah,
burning piece of wood in your
exactly.
hand.
They're absolute bastards. Whoever thought up the acid for blood business? Like they just fucked anyone who was going to try and write any of these stories after the fact. You have to like, how do we write around this acid blood? It's like, well, everybody gets messed up. So
Yes,
another
aliens pig.
cool pick from Boba Hicks is Aliens Pig from Dark Horse in 1997, which was not written by George Miller, famous for Babe and Babe 2, he wrote those. Written by Chuck Dixon, who also wrote a whole bunch of Batman stuff in the 90s as well as other comics.
I have to say, I absolutely love the AI generated xenomorph creatures here with their freaky little
I typed
legs.
this in. I just typed, what was my prompt? I typed in a xenomorph chasing a pig who was quite surprised. Was my prompt.
Yeah,
And
the
I
big
was thinking
xenomorph actually
when I
looks
typed that, I was
ferocious.
thinking of George Miller's Babe. That's why I wasn't even going to do this. And I thought, hang on, the guy who made all those Mad Max films, who's like real hardcore, also made these kiddies films with Babe and all that were very popular. And well, globally they were popular, but in Australia they were very popular.
Yeah, no, the first Babe is good fun, definitely. And what
Yeah, it was
what a
really
great tagline on the cover there, or they had it in space. No one can hear you squeal.
Squeal.
This is just it's another one of those. It's a one-off. It's a short story,
Yeah, just a
and
one shot.
it revolves around, so we have a deep space salvage crew, and they're basically perusing through this area of the galaxy, checking out planets for any wrecked structures or crashed ships. And their sensors pick up a crashed ship on a planet which is filled with lots of really valuable refined ore, which is worth an awful lot of money to a salvage team. Now the problem though is the ship has crashed right in the middle of like an alien hive world, and it's literally swarming with xenomorph. So the crew of the ship, they're basically a bunch of scumbags anyway. Like there's no likable characters in this short
As if you
story. They're
can't
all
tell by the art style, where the guy in
yeah,
green looks like the fucking hunchback of Notre Dame.
yeah, they're all just like it's a real crew of rotten bastards basically. But there's a little pig that they keep aboard the ship with the intentions that they're going to eventually like butcher it and eat it anyway. But they decide to capture the pig and strap it with a load of explosives. And they decide to send it down onto the planet with the idea of, if they send this pig packed with explosives and send it running in the opposite direction of the crashed ship, that all the aliens will chase it, and they'll be able to go in and extract the ore with minimum resistance from the bugs. But what ends up happening is they strap the pig with the explosives and they send them down. The pig starts running and the aliens start chasing him. But when the guys go to actually set off the bombs, the transmitter won't work, so the bombs don't blow. So Piggy Wiggy manages to get away. So, like I mentioned, because this crew are complete scumbags, they actually decide to jump one of the other crew members and instead strap him down with a load of explosives, and essentially to run the same plan again, where this time they're gonna drop some bait down a human. This time he's strapped with explosives, and he goes running, and eventually the aliens, they all start chasing him. They catch up with him, and the guys blow up the bombs and they kill a bunch of aliens. So the plan was a success. Great. So the rest of the crew, they sat down onto the planet. They have all their salvage gear with them. They start eliminating the few aliens that are remaining in the hive, and it's a pretty easy job because there's not too many of them left. And just as they're kind of clearing up and getting ready to start moving the salvage door out, our little pig from earlier on turns up, and he's still got the explosives strapped to him. And
What
now
you
that he's
said
come
before
within,
about a proximity fuse, how close?
yes, and yeah, he's just at the right distance for the fuse to be armed due to the
That's
transmitter
close.
now working. And he ends up blowing up and taking the entire crew with him. So yes, nobody lives in this story. Everybody dies, and
I feel bad for the
poor
little
little
piggy.
piggy.
Man, fuck those assholes, but I feel bad for the little piggy.
Yeah,
He
at
survived
least
the
I'm glad.
aliens, but he gets blown up by the dickheads that sent him down there.
At least he gets his revenge, though, in a way. Like he takes
Yeah,
them all out with
yeah.
him. So they were cruel
It's
bastards,
it's
but
definitely a black comedy sort of comic.
yeah, it really is.
It's
It
the
really
Bernard
is. But
Black alien story.
yeah, very, very funny. But yeah, it's I always liked it. It must have been, I'm guessing it's also from around the same time as Stoker, because I remember picking them both up around the same time as a kid, or within pretty close proximity to each other. I think they were like 97, 98, this around that
Yeah,
time
late
they both
90s.
kind of came out. But yeah, in space no one can hear you squeal.
So the original Aliens Pig one shot 1997, so late
Yeah.
90s. So heading into basically nearly a decade of Dark Horse Aliens Predator when we got to that one. So it's like they've done their key kind of expansion of lore comics with Alien and Predator. They've moved on to serialized ongoing stories. They've done one shots. They've done Dark Horse Presents, which done a whole bunch of like shorter stories like Marvel Comics presents with Weapon X and that sort of stuff. We got shorter run stuff, and then we got one shots and other expansion things. So Dark Horse really ran a good that first decade of Dark Horse, Alien, Predator. Not to knock anything that came after it by any means, but just establishing like a foothold. Like you're going out and it's fucking like the gold rush, or you're claiming a mine, or you're claiming a gold stripe and panning for gold. Like they pan for fucking Aliens and Predator, and they come up like success every time as far as that first decade of comics. Just fantastic stuff. I'd reread any of them today. Best, worst, whatever.
Really
great comics.
No, they did a bang up job overall, and look, we often say it on this show. There is a ton of stuff we obviously did not look at today, because it's one of those things where you could spend hours upon hours upon hours, looking at the various material. I know there's a ton of Predator stories and a ton of Alien stories and Aliens versus Predator and all that, but someday I'm not.
Even the worst ones are worth rereading.
And look, definitely though, let us know, folks, in that spirit. Is there any ones? Because I know we kind of had a discussion, obviously, before this week's show about particular ones we were going to talk about. But like I say, there's so much material there, and I'm sure that as somebody watching or listening today has probably different picks and different favorites. So let us know really what.
It's a decade of great stuff where even the best, middle, the worst, it's all good quality material. And so, there's a number of picks you can go for. So these are just the picks we've picked based on the stuff we've read before, or that really kind of spoke to us in a personal way. But there was a good, solid decade of Alien and Predator comics as individual units, and then Alien versus Predator, as well as the individual ongoing Alien and Predator stories.
Someday, I'm sure, we will revisit this type of topic again.
Oh, we can come back to it, man. We come back to it.
But next week, we got a show that's been 10 years in the making.
The Mania, brother, the Mania.
Mania of WrestleMania. WrestleMania X.
X-Pac?
Rated Mania.
Not quite yet.
Yeah.
He's a little bit off. He's a little bit off in the future, but we'll get to X-Pac.
We're getting there. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking about WrestleMania 10, especially since the previous WrestleMania we spoke about was a bit of a dud. So I'm looking forward to talking about a couple of classic matches, in particular Horse versus Horse.
Mania 10 will be a bit more enjoyable than Mania 9.
I just have
personal experience.
I have a gut feeling it might be a bit better. All right.
Yeah, as long as it's not a chest burster in your gut, everything will turn out fucking rosy.
We're going to have a great time. We're going to be talking about the ladder match. We're going to be talking about brother versus brother and all things in between. It's going to be quite the show, quite the mania.
Yeah, the ladder match, man. Like that's a whole fucking story unto itself, as I was chatting about with Bjorn Jorgensen earlier this week. It's like the first ever ladder match on record. Well, the first ladder match we know of that was well known was in the 70s, but he was saying there was something going back decades earlier. So I had to look that one up. And then definitely in the Bret Hart autobiography, he suggested to McMahon somewhere in the 80s, all the way back then, about doing a ladder match and having a belt suspended above it and all that. Years before we got to the Razor Shawn match or the Razor Bret Hart match, which I didn't even know they actually did do one. But if you look up on YouTube, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels ladder match, they did actually do one that he suggested many years before it. But the big profile one was Mania 10 with Razor and Shawn. And the order of it's kind of a little confusing where it all happened, because they did one back in the 70s with Stampede Wrestling. And then Bret Hart accused Shawn of basically stealing his idea that he proposed to McMahon, saying, "Let's do a ladder match with all the tension and whatever about grabbing the belt." And yeah, it's a whole barrel of fish, man.
Yeah, and look, if anybody is just curious, I'll tell you now, if you happen to have the WWE network, especially if you're living on this side of the pond, if you look up on the video section, WWF Whack'em Smack'em, it's an old video compilation. It actually has footage from that first ladder match between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, the kind of test ladder match. You're able to watch that on the network. But typical revisionist WWF history, as far as they're concerned, the first ladder match happened. It happened at WrestleMania 10 for the first time.
Yeah, for the first time, despite the ladder match had been done in the 70s. And Hart suggested that in the 80s, based on Stampede Wrestling and other things. But then possibly had been done decades before in other wrestling matches. So that one I'm still looking for sources on. So I'm going to query Bjorn on that one and be like, is this just your memory, or is it, have you got a source on this one for like stuff that's pre-70s?
Bjorn is definitely right on that. He's because they're even.
He's a veritable source and font of knowledge as far as wrestling. But like as far as wrestling history, when you go back pre-70s, you've got several decades of big wrestling stuff happening, and then nothing, and then big wrestling stuff, and then nothing. And some of the history of it's pretty spotty as far as who took what records and this and that. So it's all over the place.
Don't worry, someday we will unravel it all, this tangled web of wrestling history, to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
The truth, brother. Don't worry. Be a xenomorph with the chest burster coming out of you.
But if you want to know the truth about WrestleMania 10, definitely watch the Boba Joe show next week.
For sure. If you want to know truth, watch something else. But if you want to know the truth about WrestleMania 10, Boba Joe. I'm going to play the ice cream outro any moment now.
Take care, everybody.
Take care. Get some bucks. Get some mega bucks, baby. Get some mega bucks in you. That's $1 million ask. Look at that. That's $1 million ask, because that's from the Masters figure. It doesn't fit it properly. So that's why you get that.
$1 million moon right there.
$1 million moon. $1 million moon, baby. $1 million moon.
$1 million moon, man.
I just love the expression on his face, man. He's like, what? Yeah. I need to get some little bills or something printed to put on his hand, because it's a perfect expression in hand to be like, yeah, baby, come on, I got this money. So good.
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna play the outro. We'll catch you all next time, guys.
See you later.
It's all over, Red Rover.
Met this guy yesterday.
That's funny. Do you know what I was doing literally yesterday? I was playing Spider-Man, Miles Morales on PS4, and I beat the fuck out of his like cousin, relative, whatever that was Prowler in that continuity.
But that's that
Oh,
too.
I've got that ordered on Amazon, and they changed the order from like we might ship it to like we don't know, maybe, and like. But I pre-ordered that day one when they put it up on Amazon Australia, so the order's still active, but it's one of those like they might ship it or they might just cancel it because they're fucking assholes on Amazon.
I fucking hate Amazon. I hate when they send you that email saying the item is still delayed. Do you still want this item? It's like, yeah, I still fucking want the item. You
You
fuck.
don't want the fucking thing, you pricks.
I wanted it the original date you told me it was coming.
I want to give you
bastard.
money for the thing that I tried to give you money for before you fucked me.
Yeah, like you not giving me the item doesn't make me want it less, you dickhead.
I laugh when I watched weird like Bill and that when he's like Target cancelled an order. It's like, do you want this superpowers McFarlane kid? And things like, you don't fucking want it, you pricks.
Oh, it ain't what it used to be. I remember when things used to just show up on time and not have the box, have the shit beat out of it, 3 weeks
It's
later.
like if other businesses did what like action figure direct market action figure shit for adults did, that would go out of business overnight. It's like, do you want some
By the
toilet
way,
paper? No.
by the
Do you
way,
want food? No.
Boba Joe viewers, this is bonus footage because I can see we're still recording. So you've gotten
Oh,
bonus
shit.
footage on
I
this week's
clicked it.
episode.
This fuck StreamYard. I clicked it 2 times in recording. Why is it still on there?
DVD
I'll let it
access.
run for another minute.
That's what you get. You get extra bang for your buck in these
Yeah,
shows.
extra bang.
You got to see the behind the scenes of me getting my Motu Prince Adam and Cringer pack and Marvel Legends Prowler. And you also get to hear us rant about shitty fucking Amazon and their shitty delivery times and
Okay, I'm going to click it again now. I literally clicked it like 2 minutes ago for because when you click StreamYard, like this is like behind the scenes because it's still on now. Like fuck you, StreamYard. Fuck you, Fox Alien 3. You have to click in recording and then it clicks it a second time, like confirm. It's like, do you want to really delete the DLL files and the things? Do you want to really delete your operating system? Do you really want to delete your entire life? And yes, I fucking do. I clicked it 2 minutes ago and it didn't fucking do it. So I'm clicking it again now.
I'll self-destruct this shit.
So, but the ultimate destruction of the clicking of the StreamYard warrior. Okay, I'm clicking it again now.